All right, there's an offseason signing that just keeps getting better, and it's not even stuff that he's doing. It's not even stuff that he's doing. It's stuff that the person we let go is doing. Now, we're going to talk about what they're both doing. We're also going to talk about this roster as a whole. A really cool article came out where we're going to talk, do the Detroit Lions have a top 10 player at every single position in the NFL? Top 10 player in the NFL at every single position. We're going to do that in the back half of this video. But first, I want to talk a little bit about a new signing that we've had. Not like uber new, of course. You know, it was when all the other signings were. It was actually one of our first signings. And why it just keeps getting better and better and better. And I think it's interesting, the role that culture plays in a team. I think it's interesting the role that culture plays in a team. But before we get into that, if you're new to this channel, my name is Craig. Me and my buddy Chris started this channel. Oh my goodness, it's got to be close to 4.5, 5 years ago now. Really interesting. I got a question for you. I got my Restore. I got my Pistons shirt on. They did. All right. They did restore this year a little bit. And do you want to see any Pistons content on here ever? I'm just curious, you know, as we get into the offseason, sometimes, you know, we used to do Pistons content like the first 2 years. Wasn't a huge response to it. So let me know, are you true just only Lions? Would Pistons make you change your mind about watching this channel, or is Pistons something you love to see because, hey, you are a Detroit homer like me through and through? Pistons, Lions, Tigers, Red Wings, doesn't matter. Let's go. Love watching. All right, here's the good news the signing that keeps getting better. We got DJ Reid. I don't know if you remember this, for less than the New England Patriots got Carlton Davis. But that's not what's good. We've already talked about that. We've already talked about how Carlton Davis got $54 million, while DJ Reid, we only had to pay him $48 for the same amount of time. All right? Here's the thing that's very interesting. All right? Davis took part in the Patriots, mandatory minicamp, as expected. He did not, however, take part in the team's voluntary workouts prior to that. All right? Mass Live, a person there, said this wasn't a good look for Davis after signing his huge contract. Said up until minicamp, Davis was largely invisible. His absence, even during voluntary workouts, isn't a good look, especially going to a new team and being paid a fortune. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. According to a post from Davis on his Instagram, it appears he was instead on vacation while the Pats were going through their OTAs. Look, Carlton Davis clearly went to New England to get paid. He didn't go there to win. We know that. You don't go to a rebuilding team in New England. Sure, they have a good coach with Vrabel. Absolutely. Right? Are they going to get that turned around? I think they probably will. However, you don't go there to win a Super Bowl right away, especially on his timeline. Maybe they'll start competing in a couple, 2-3 years, but highly doubtful right now. And so for him not to even show for voluntary OTAs makes a big difference. Meanwhile, you got DJ Reid out here talking about how Detroit, to him, is a football utopia, right? He talks about how it is a perfect place to want to play. All right? He's talking about the secondary. He said, it's what I thought it was. It's the reason why Kirby and Brian Branch, you could arguably say they're the 1A safeties. You could argue that they are both the best safeties in the NFL right now. And then he goes in, when you see them work day in and day out, it makes sense. And even working with Amik, you can see why he's the best nickel or one of the best nickels, just with the way he communicates, the way he approaches every day, and the way he works. And it's not just the established vets. He said in TA, Terrion Arnold, right now, same thing. He hit me up a couple of days ago when I was practicing and was basically watching my film and telling me what I need to work on. And he was correct, too, with what he emphasized I need to work on. So the next day I went and I worked on it. So we got a good group. Enos Rakestraw has been balling his butt off. He had a great day Friday, so our whole DB room is full of dogs. Now, we've talked about this a little bit. We've talked about what this looks like. I'm just kind of amazed, if I can be honest, at how what seems to be a swap turns out to be such a win. Like, I know we have to wait till the season starts and we have to put the pads on and we have to see how they do with the new uniforms on. But so far, it's a really good look for the Lions to have this guy here. Not to mention the injury histories, all right? So I would say I want to transfer that over because one thing that DJ Reid has going for him that Carlton Davis absolutely did not was that he was a top 10 player according to PFF at his position. When you look at this, this is an article that I'm pulling from Pride of Detroit, but they pulled from PFF. All right, so we have a lot here. And it is, do the Lions have a top 10 player at every position? You see right here, we now have a top 10 corner. I want to emphasize this. We did not have that last year. Carlton Davis was not a top 10 corner last year. He was not. Terran Arnold was not even close. So when you look at it, it changes things. With QB, Jared Goff was 9th. Running back, Jahmyr Gibbs was 4th. I wonder what Montgomery was. I'm always curious about that. All right, Amon-Ra St. Brown was 4th. 4th best running back, 4th best wide receiver, 5th best tight end Sam Laporta on a down year. Penei Sewell, well, comparatively to his rookie year. Penei Sewell, 6th. Now, guard and center. If you take it at the end of last year, Kevin Zeitler was 9th. Frank Ragnow was, I believe, 1st or 3rd. I don't know what it was last year exactly. He might have been 4th or 5th even, or 6th. But he was a top 10 center. Aleem McNeil was a top 10 defensive tackle, right? But they're putting him at 13th. They must be factoring in the injury because he has been a mainstay the last 2 years in top 10 PFF rankings. DJ Reader, 22nd. Aiden Hutchinson, they're putting at 5th. Hello, injury. He's 1st. All right, it must be. Jack Campbell, 8th. DJ Reid, 6th. Safeties, 5th and 6th. So, if you look at all of our positions, yes, we don't have a top 10 at every position, but I think you would be hard-pressed to find a team that has more, how's the word I want to say it? Talent spread out amongst the roster. Some would call it depth. I think of depth more as what are your backups looking like? What are the guys that have to come into the game looking like? But when you talk about top-tier talent at each position, I look at that top 7 or 8 at each position, even top 10, as that premier talent at each position. We have a premier quarterback. We have a premier running back. We have a premier wide receiver, soon probably to be 2. We have a premier tight end. We have a premier offensive tackle. We have a premier defensive tackle, a premier edge, a premier linebacker, a premier corner now, and 2 premier safeties. Yeah, but they have new coaches. Okay. It's okay because talent wins. It's not the only thing that wins, but Dan Campbell's still here. He hired this staff. Can't wait to see what's happening. Even in June, we only got a few weeks until training camp starts. Let's go. See you on the next one.